Marianne Gillespie, CEO of Red Apple Coaching, Game Changers, and Girl Abundance. Woo, that was a lot. All right, today on our agent spotlight, I have one of my favorite agents on here that is doing like remarkable stuff. And so what I'm going to do as I drop my mic, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let him introduce himself. He's going to tell you a little bit about how long he's been in the industry, his trajectory of what he's most recently accomplished year to date, some of his successes, and where he trades and who he trades with. So Matt, introduce yourself for everybody.
Thanks so much, Marianne. Super excited to be on with you here and sharing a little bit about my experience and my success so far. Matt Biggley, I trade down in Windsor, Essex. I belong to Century 21 Showtime. It's located in LaSalle, little bedroom community of Windsor. I've had my license for about 15 months now. Prior to getting into real estate, I was a high school teacher for the past 15 years, a history teacher, and then a guidance counselor. But always had a passion for real estate. My wife and I have flipped many houses, own a bunch of investment properties, over 20 units, run an Airbnb as well. So real estate was always in my veins, as was helping people. And it's been so neat to see how much teaching prepared me for, helping people in real estate. My trajectory really changed when I joined the Game Changer program back in March. I was still teaching full time.
Yep.
And so I had thought when I first got into real estate, it would be a part-time thing until I retired, and then I would take it on full-time. But my production has just exploded. My first goal was to, meet my teaching salary, and then my teaching salary plus benefits and pension. And I'm essentially set to triple my teaching salary this year in 2021. So it's been unbelievable. I think back to when you had us set our goals in Game Changer. And I thought at the time, oh, is this too big? Is 250K too big? And you're like, just go big, dream big. And so I put the number down, and it's wild to me how you can not only meet that, but exceed that, and how your actions align with your thinking.
They totally do. So talk to me. What's your GCI right now with closed and pending?
Yeah. So my GCI right now is about 270,000. I'm sure I'm going to crack 3 before the end of the year. It's just been awesome. And I'm in just such a great flow now where I'm not focused on the number so much. It's just happening now. It's just happening.
Isn't it crazy? It's like, so the reason why I brought Matt on is because, so here's a great case in point is everybody always has these past careers and things like that. And one of the things I love about Matt is he's coming from that structured teacher's environment, which is really great. It's a great background to have because you're in the public, you're with people and everything. But think about the logics here, 3 times what he made as a teacher. And this is somebody who started really effectively part-time in March, already over the 270 mark, which is absolutely incredible. So let's share some tips for agents who are going, because this is what kills me is how many people think it's not possible. And they really look at it and they go, yeah, well, Matt's just an anomaly, and you're not, you're a hard worker. But let me ask you a question. Where does most of your business come from? In order for you to get there, share some tips for an agent going, man, I want those numbers. So where do you get most of your business from?
Yeah, I think that much of my business comes from my sphere and just in past relationships. People have known that I've always had an interest in real estate, in investing. I think the shift for me was, and you certainly helped me with this, was presenting myself as a realtor, not as a teacher. And that was a big mindset shift for me. And so I think once that started happening, I felt more confident in that. And in fact, that my past was an asset, the fact that I'd spent 15 years as a teacher and helping people. So that was a big shift for me. So my sphere for sure, but also referrals. And again, this came from a tip from you. At one point you had suggested, you're like, guys, get out there, be aggressive with the referrals, offer 30% if you need to, tell them it's a monthly special. And so on some of the real estate Realtor Hacks Facebook groups, I would just, if someone would post that they were looking for an agent in Windsor, Essex, instead of posting on there and waiting for other people to post as well and hope that you won the popularity contest, I would message them, direct message them right away. I would call them. I would say no one is going to take better care of your clients. I'll give you 30% on this referral. I'm at the point now where I haven't done that because I don't need to do that. And in fact, just last night I had one of the Toronto-based agents who had referred a client previously. This client had an amazing experience with me. Not only did we find a great investment property, but I have taught him how to manage clients, how to do all those sorts of things, because I'm an investor myself. He called me last night and said, Matt, I want to have a pipeline of referrals down to you in Windsor. Like, let's make some marketing material together. I want to promote Windsor here in the GTA. And I want you to be our point person down there.
That is awesome. So like, I love the proactiveness. That's exactly what it takes. So how many hours a week, when you were transitioning from teacher into a career entrepreneur, corporate to entrepreneur world, how many hours a week did you spend on your top 20%, which gets you 80% of your business?
Yeah, gosh, that's a good question, Mary. And I think like one of the things that, again, just like at the beginning, it's all about the fundamentals, and you know, you go through the courses, and sure, it helps you with some of the legalities and regulation, but to actually do it, I feel like the coaching has been so important. So we're all scared of like, what do I do on a day-to-day basis? And so I think understanding the fundamentals of, say, a hot and a warm list, I'm like, who do I need to do my follow-up with? Well, you know, my top 10 in my hot list, the other 30 people sitting in my warm list, and just continuing to do that. So in truth, what's funny about real estate compared to teaching, I'm probably working 2 or 3 times as many hours a week easily, but they fly by. So in terms of actually tracking them, you know, I might put in a 12 or 14-hour day, but the energy is just there. And I'm loving it so much. I loved teaching. I loved the kids and I love that, but this has been wild for, you know, for that reason.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, eh? Like now, did you always have the buy-in of your wife, or was your wife like, dude, you're leaving like a guaranteed paycheck for like totally unknown in COVID, by the way. So was there ever any kind of conversations going, I don't know if this is like 100%, or was it always like, listen, we'll figure it out?
I'm so lucky to have my wife. She's a teacher as well. Probably crazier about real estate than I am. Leslie's her name. She's over the past 10 years that we've been together, we've just gone house crazy, and she's really the driving force behind it. She started tracking our renovations that we would do on her Instagram account, and absolutely blew up. 60,000 followers, has started working with all kinds of brands, doing some design work. And so she's been the driving force behind all of this. And I was so scared to take a leave from teaching to do real estate. And it was really her support that pushed me through. And now that I'm working these long days and our hours are totally off, we've both been teachers for as long as we've known each other. She's just been an incredible, the buy-in from her has been unbelievable. She's been my biggest fan and my biggest support. And none of this would have been possible without her, because I was filled with fear to do it.
So I'm thinking like, so let me get this straight. So you're on track. You're already at 270. So you've exceeded your goals by quite a significant amount. And Leslie is getting a lot of the credit here. So I'm thinking like Christmas, she's getting something pretty awesome. So anyway,
she deserves it. She deserves it.
Leslie is going to get a great Christmas present, man. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to follow up with you on that one. So if you're looking at agents who are in the transitional, because we really want to focus on those agents who are leaving a career and getting into real estate as a new entrepreneurial lifestyle, what would you say was the biggest, looking back now, and it's only been like 8-9 months. So, I mean, looking back at your year, what would you say was the hardest thing for you to go through to get to this point right now that you experience, and how did you get through it?
Yeah, I think it's that duality of like fundamentals and learning the fundamentals. How should you be spending your time each week? You know, what are those high leverage activities that you're doing in the time that you're spending? And then the mindset. I think so many of us are just so, again, I alluded to the fear, like it definitely gripped me. And many of our early conversations were about the fear. So I think focusing on those two things, and you can't do it alone. Like, you need expertise, you need support. And again, that's where the coaching has come in. I wanted to coach with you because you coached so many of the big agents that I admired, but also I recognized that it was an investment for me. So it was going to flatten my learning curve, and it was going to ramp up my production. I started with a team briefly, had a great experience, but knew right away I can get this direct one-on-one with a coach that's going to be geared towards me, customized towards me. And it was the best decision I made.
I love it. And Matt's referring to, like, he entered into our Game Changer program, which was actually just small hybrid group coaching. And now he's integrated into one-on-one, which is absolutely excellent, because that is where the natural transition comes in here. Now, equally, guys, those of you who are listening to this, you have to have a growth mindset. Like, you know, that's, you know, something Matt just said, which I think is probably the, you know, people will overlook what he just said. There is a difference between spending money and investing. When you are, you know, he has a background investing in real estate. but he also invests in his growth. And that's a big difference. And that also comes from a teacher mindset. Teachers know the value of education and growth and mentorship and what they bring to the table. So it is actually something we see in real estate for those people who are transitioning from teaching field. They're already growth-minded individuals. So their growth of investment is huge. So don't skip that too fast, because what Matt said is really important there. Now, you also touched on something that I'm going to go back on, is that there's a lot of different fears. And you said fear was one of the things that could hold you back. So in your opinion, what were you most afraid of? What was the fear that daunted you?
I think it's all about, harming your family, financially, and not giving them the quality of life that they're accustomed to or that you want to aspire to give them. That was really fundamentally it. I've been a teacher for so long. My dad was in retail. Retail's a tough industry, lost his job at different points in time. So teaching was like the safest job to get. And I think that's one of the reasons, in addition to, loving kids and loving the teaching part. But so I think the safety net is gone now. And that was really scary as well. If you ask your parents or you ask your colleagues, they're going to say, that's the best job in the world. Like I was on track to be a principal one day. I was going to be at the top of the heap. And so taking that safety net out was definitely scary.
Did they try to convince you not to leave? Like when you resigned, were they like, no, don't do it?
Yeah, I think that I stopped asking people what they thought, and I focused on kind of those people that were close to me, that knew my passion. And the person I listen to most is my wife, not even my parents so much. And I love them and respect them. But when it comes time to those kinds of decisions, it's really about that personal board of directors that we all have, that you rely on so much.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So has there been a book that you have read that's really helped you? And I know I put you on the spot, and everybody knows that I never prep people for questions, so I always do this. But is there a book that you would suggest people going through what you've just gone through that really kind of give you a little bit of an insight, some help?
Yeah. You know what? And I'm such a learner, and that's been part of the fun. I have so much to learn in real estate, and that's part of the joy of this, is like learning from experts. And so around mindset, I'd say Jen Sincero is amazing. You're a Badass at Making Money is a great one for
Love
mindset. The Alchemist for mindset just really helps you think about living a bigger life. In terms of integration, my favorite book used to be called Getting Things Done. This guy, David Allen, it's so nerdy and boring, but like, I really believe being efficient and being organized is a superpower. Yep. Rocket Fuel is such a great book. I've partnered with an amazing agent now, and she is such a visionary. I'm really the integrator to that. Of course, Gary Keller's Millionaire Real Estate Agent, it really breaks it down into what does it look like and how does it work. I just bought Val's Empire Builders because we're looking at taking on admin. So I think and I'm obsessed with podcasts. If I'm out getting groceries, walking, anything, I'm in the car, I've always got a podcast on or an audiobook. Anything by Mel Robbins is great for mindset. It's like the constant learning is integral to everything I do. It
really is. And it's like, I love all the things you're dropping down, because those are, he's just dropped down a ton of stuff for you guys. So it's like, this is golden. Okay. And what about niche markets? So you've been in the business for a little while now. So are you seeing yourself sort of start to go, maybe I should niche my market or my clientele, or are you kind of just throwing out a blanket going, you know what, I'm going to test out and see where I fit. So what about niche market versus blanket?
Yeah, great question. So my background personally is in investing. So I'm really comfortable in that market, helping people start Airbnbs. That's something a lot of people want to do, but aren't really quite sure the tactical steps to get there. So I love helping people with that, going well beyond the sale. I have a real interest in the luxury segment. My wife and I, again, we do beautiful high-end homes, make incredible, we sold a house for $1 million at a time when the local average price was probably about $350,000 4 or 5 years ago. That's actually where I met my current partner. We hired her to sell it. She exists in the luxury space. Now, this is new to me. I'm learning this. It's so different than the spaces I've operated in. So relational based. The level of service has to be at that concierge level. The marketing has to be terrific, on point. We're looking at, a national, international audience for these listings. So that's been a lot of fun to learn about, and really, really grateful to be able to enter that space. But I think the fundamentals across them are the same, whether it's a $300,000 house or a $3 million house. I want to provide that same level of service to everyone. But that luxury space is definitely something, given my partnership, that I'm working on learning and certainly gaining some strength in.
I love this. Okay. Thinking big. Okay. 15 months in the real estate, 8 months really full time on it. Thinking huge now. Where do you, now that you've got some dots put together, where do you see yourself going in real estate? What's the bigger vision for Matt?
Yeah, we've got our business planning coming up, in a couple of weeks. So looking really forward to that. I think I'm always going to be a teacher. I love teaching and educating, inspiring and motivating. I think teaching builds so much empathy. So the helping part is always going to be something I want to do. So I certainly see, if not creating a team, we've certainly started to talk about that. Maybe being a broker owner. I'm cognizant, though, at one point in time, I was going to be a principal, and I stopped one course short because I said, holy smokes, the responsibility and accountability is not worth the reward, either financially or otherwise. Yep. And so I'm in a real learning track to say, we've got an opportunity to potentially be part of a brokerage ownership, but is that where your time is best spent? And so I'm going to continue to evaluate that, and not just rush to climb the proverbial ladder, but really at each step of the way. If we had a successful team and we were serving people at a high level and experiencing great success, that might be really, really satisfying. But in making this change, I've gone from a set retirement date at 56 to knowing I'm going to work until, I'm 85. And I'm so excited and happy about that.
Yeah. And I don't even know if it's work. It's more like I'm going to own companies until I'm 85. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that difference, because is it really work? Man, not really. It's kind of like when you're building your own company and your own business, it's not really work. Work is like clocking at 9 to 5. I'm working to build somebody else's vision. When you're building your own vision, it's kind of not really work. It's, you know what, I'm building my own business. And so that's entrepreneurial lifestyle. Question for you. You mentioned you were a Century 21. I love that company, and I love the new leadership and the direction they're going to go. Really great. I'm super, super happy that they're going into a very fresh, new, cool direction. My question to you is, how important do you feel a brokerage is to your success? And what would an agent, giving advice to an agent, what should they look for?
Yeah, great question, Marianne. And I was methodical when I first was interviewing brokerages. What I should say off the bat is that what I'm finding in real estate, there are so many amazing people, regardless of brokerages. I have made so many great connections with other agents across brokerage lines, and I really see it as we are working together. We're connectors, we're networkers, we're connectors. And so those were the realtor relationships have been so integral and so important. I love the ethos and the philosophy of so many brokerages out there. I have, in my short time, been part of Keller Williams. I love their vision about being great at business and being the best version of yourself. I got to meet some incredible agents like Sandy McKay, Mike Johnson, Anna Marin, and all the work they did. They're all incredible. Nikki Colford out of London, just incredible agents. Yep. I then moved over to an independent, and that was the right choice at the time. They were fast rising, great at recruiting, and a really great place for me to be during that time that I was part-time and trying to transition. Really enjoyed that. Coming over to Century 21, I'm still getting to appreciate the behind the scenes and the corporate power that comes with being part of a big brokerage. What I realized right away, though, is that there's a name recognition to it. Our brokerage is on the smaller side, so we've got a real boutique feel, in-house marketing, in-house videographer and photographer. So my advice to a new agent is probably that you want to start with somewhere that's going to help you train and learn those fundamentals, but to know that you don't know what you're going to need until you get started. And so I'm really happy with my journey so far. I wouldn't have done anything different. Tremendously grateful to all of the people that I've had the chance to work with and get to know. Been really, really excited about where I've ended up right now. And this feels like the right fit, a really good fit for me.
It is a great fit for you. And guys, it's like really interesting because we ask this question all the time because we're very brand antagonistic. Like we're Switzerland. We don't focus on any brand. We love all brands in our company. One of the things we learned is the leadership in each brand or each office. It's the leadership that you really want to go to. So you've got to really resonate with what can they bring to the table? How can they, get you where you need to get to? And every office is different. And kind of like what Matt said is, what, you don't burn bridges. You know what, you see value in one brokerage and then you go to a different brokerage and you can go to different brokerage. It's not cement. So different phases might require different brokerages, which require different things. So I love that answer. I think it's really good. Another question, how many hours a week do you spend lead generating?
Not enough. Not enough. I think I spend a lot following up but not nearly enough. And so one of the things that I'm continuing to work on is this entrepreneurial time system. I have a heck of a time taking a day off. You've talked about the importance of a free day. The weeks when I take a day off, I'm so much more refreshed. Man, I have a hell of a time doing that. If you look at my Google Calendar, I am time blocked, by the hour. Am I following that time blocking? Not nearly to the degree that I should. And so that discipline is something that I've got to continue to hone and work on, because again, when I have a day where I've followed my time blocking and I've done my lead gen and I've had those days, I feel great about it. But the nature of real estate also is that sometimes it's hard to plan your day. You don't know what's going to pop up.
It really is. So if you had a wish of how much time you would be lead gen, what would that be?
my aspiration would be to lead gen 3 to 4 hours a day. That would be my aspiration. I think part of what I'm feeling out right now is how much prospecting one does versus how much sort of maybe marketing one does. And so are you drawing people to you, or are you going out and finding people? So trying to determine kind of what the right ratio is for me, what the right strategy is, and there's different philosophies out there. So
I love hearing this. Last question. All right, because we're going to mark it like if this is recorded. So we're going to put Matt on the spot here. 2022, what is going to be your GCI target? If you've already done so well, your first full kind of year, technically, 8 months, and you're already at 270, what is going to be your 2022? So when we look back at this a year from now, you're there.
Yeah, we had a quick conversation about this a few weeks ago in our coaching session. And you just said, Matt, like follow your intuition. And I was just like, 500 just jumps out of me as the number. So 500K is what I'm going to set it at. And I love that last year you made me think big, even like bigger than I was ready to think. And again, I just love how our thinking ends up aligning with our goals, and the work that you put in just fills it all in. So 500 is what I'm going to aim for.
Boom. It has been dropped, signed, sealed, delivered. Matt is going to go for 500. He's totally accountable to it. So Matt, on behalf of all of us here, thank you so much. We are going to be sharing this out to the public. We obviously want to share this to any agent who is thinking of transitioning careers. And then really quickly, if we are in the Windsor area and we need to find you, how do we find you? What's the website?
I'm all over social media at Matt Loves Real Estate. Website's in development, but catch me on IG, and always happy to connect. I love talking to other realtors, learning from them, and helping out them and their clients when I can.
I love it. Matt, thank you. On behalf of all of us, we are going to stop recording now, and we are going to let this launch out. So we really appreciate it. And thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Matt directly.
Thanks so much for having me, Marianne. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome.